What's up, Spartans? Batman from TST Gaming here, keeping you updated with everything Halo. And today we're going over our review of Episode 6 of the Halo television series, Solace. But before we get started, please subscribe for more Halo content. So picking right up where Episode 5 Reckoning left off, Solace shows us what happens when Makee goes to the UNSC acting as if she is a refugee from being held prisoner by the Covenant for many years. After some tests have been run by Miranda Keyes, it's discovered that her DNA holds something similar to the Master Chief's, and that they're basically 2 in a billion, where there's not anyone who can really do the same things that they can in terms of interacting with the artifact, that there's something special about the two of them. And Makee even tells him as such, that they are one and the same. Master Chief, meanwhile, is also trying to figure out what really happened with those memories. He understands that he was kidnapped and that Halsey has lied to them his entire life, the Spartans, their entire lives. But he wants to know more, and even goes so far as to attempt to kill her, so it seems, with him goading Cortana into opening the door, taking over his suit. But she said that all she could do is shut down his neural network, and that's the limits of her, and that's all he was really testing. But you could see the genuine fear of Halsey in that moment. Halsey herself did not have a very good time this episode, as she was basically kicked off the project. Her Spartans were taken from her, and she was basically confined to her quarters, more or less. And her being Halsey, of course, did some backdoor shenanigans to get Cortana to help her and see what's going on with Miranda. She even goes so far as to get Miranda to come over so that way she can get something from Miranda without Miranda knowing, which I thought was really devious. We do see Kai, who was injured in the last episode, basically having to heal up. Some of the things I liked about this episode was seeing Master Chief show aggression towards Halsey that continued from the 5th episode, where he went so far as to attempt to kill her, but really he was just testing the limits of Cortana. And seeing Makee finally show up with the UNSC after, we've been knowing for weeks now that she was going to. One thing I did notice was Kwan Ha and Soren were not in this episode at all. This was a great episode, and there was so much going on. And Chief told Kai about the lies that Halsey had made. And Miranda basically got re-promoted in a way. She was put on the project, then taken off the project by her father, and now put back on the project by Parangoski. Things are really starting to culminate and get complex in the series, which isn't something I expected this early on. There wasn't really anything I didn't like about this episode. I mean, obviously, after coming off of the action episode that we had previously, this one definitely slows things down, but they were just as important, just as impactful to the overall season as a whole. When I actually got goosebumps when Chief and Makee were standing on Halo, however that worked with the artifact together, I got literal goosebumps, because this is the first time we've really seen a Halo in live action with the Chief and everything like that. So for me, that was a really, really cool moment. What's going on with them, I do not know. Some people have speculated they might be pushing a romance storyline with the Master Chief, which I don't know how I feel about. But, again, this is kind of more of a what-if style universe, so if they want to try to attempt that, that's fine. But it almost seemed like, I will point this out, when Chief touched Makee's face on Halo, shared vision that they must have had, there was almost a moment where she was like almost relishing it. Not in a I'm going to stab you in the back later kind of moment, but almost like she's almost rediscovering her own humanity, just like Chief is kind of undergoing his own rediscovery to his own humanity. So I thought that was a really interesting parallel, and I think that'll play more into the rest of the season, if not beyond. I really hope that Makee is not someone who dies by the end of the season. She's a very interesting character with a lot of cool background, and I wouldn't mind seeing her eventually turn tail and stick with the UNSC instead of working for the Covenant. But I mean, they would have to be a lot more convincing to the fans on that part than just her going and being touched by Master Chief once. Overall, I'd give this episode an 8 out of 10. It was really good. While it didn't have any action scenes, it was very busy, and it all felt important. None of it felt like it was just filler. And that was a big deal for me. But let us know in the comments below what you thought of this week's episode. And that's all we have for today. If you did enjoy this video, please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching TST Gaming, and until next time, just play.